have quite the interesting friend afoot today.
Totally.
Oh, I'm Claire.
And I'm Vince.
And this is Friends of Legend! Welcome to Friends of Legend, your very own portable Care of Magical Creatures class.
Seriously misunderstood creatures, Friends of Legends are.
Today we're going to be talking about a Brazilian friend, the Curupira.
Well, that's fun. Can you say that again?
Curupira. And yeah, I don't speak a lick of Portuguese, but we live in Texas, so I have spoken my fair share of Spanish, so that is going to be my best attempt at the pronunciation of the Curupira.
Sounds like fun.
So the Curupira is a fairy or sometimes demon-like protector of the forests of Brazil. And there are many forests in Brazil, so we're not just talking about the Amazon. He could also live in the Atlantic forest, which is south of the Amazon, or one of the multiple others. The name of Curupira comes from the phrase Curupir, which in the language of the native Brazilian Tupi people translates to covered in blisters or child's body, and that is because this little friend is always going to be a little guy. He has been referred to as in the body of a small man or boy or sometimes dwarf, and his skin color ranges from yellow to red to green, but one of the two most distinctive features of this guy is that he's got flaming red hair, and depending on who you're asking, it could be either literally on fire, or it might just be bright red and kind of sticking right up into the air.
He's a colorful baby.
Yeah, it is a colorful baby. He's got a sort of chimpy face with gnarled, sharp teeth, and he's a native of the rainforest, so he's gonna be running around with a loincloth made of leaves is usually how he's depicted.
So you keep saying he. Are they only ever male?
So the legend of the Curupira vastly varies from tribe to tribe in the forests of Brazil. So while some legends state that the Curupira is a female, most of the time it's a little boy.
But is it only one?
That's hard to say, because, like I said, many different tribes have their own stories about it, and it's hard to tell if it's just one that's really making the rounds in this vast country, or if there are multiple. He also seems to be quite an elusive creature. So take my word with a grain of salt. I think there could very well be multiple. It's just hard to say. It depends on who you ask. The arguably most interesting part of the Curupira's appearance is that he has backward-facing feet.
Oh, like the, Nikur.
Yes, exactly, yeah. And, instead of hooves, these are human-like feet. But the cool thing that he does with these is that he misleads bad guys, and I'll go into what bad guys means to him, by making it look like he's ending up where he's beginning when he's scampering off.
Oh, like misleading trackers.
Exactly. So the Curupira is one of the oldest documented Friends of Legend from Brazil. He was first officially written about by a priest in the year 1560. But as is the case with any Friend of Legend, his existence could have gone back much farther than the 16th century. So we just don't know.
That makes sense.
Yeah. As far as where he lives, the Curupira dwells in hollowed out trees anywhere in the forests of Brazil.
Oh, like an owl.
Yeah. Woo. And his major thing is that he protects both the plants and animals of the forest from anyone who is trying to take more than they need from it. So that could include hunters, poachers, fishers, anyone who is greedy and in the forest for commercial purposes or for monetary gain.
Sounds like your classic druid.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing that the Curupira just doesn't tolerate is if you hunt an animal that was caring for their offspring.
Oh.
Yeah, so the wrath of the Curupira, it ranges from cheeky mischief to much worse. Some of the more mild behaviors of the Curupira when he sees someone who is harming his forest is that he can create illusions or high-pitched whistles, or he could imitate either human voices or forest sounds to either mislead these wrongful humans or to drive them crazy.
Oh, well, that's quite a wide range.
Yeah, he's been known to drive his victims to insanity from his incessant, scary noises.
Reminds me of those birds, and forgive me because I can't remember the name of them, but they live in the rainforests of South America, and they make sounds like car alarms.
Yeah.
And construction equipment and things like that.
Yeah. So, the most intense punishment that the Curupira will give to someone who's harming his forest is that he can turn a human into a prey animal. Now, I don't know how exactly he does it, but he can turn you into maybe a small rodent or a little bird, and I don't know if he goes ahead and eats ya, but he turns you into something very vulnerable. So that is usually the worst thing that can happen if you defy the Curupira.
That is very druidy, indeed.
A couple more fun facts about the Curupira. I know that you were wondering what he eats, and he's mostly seen eating nanners and apples and
Nanners.
Whatever plant life he can get a hold of. You know, he's not one to eat flesh of the forest, as he's trying to protect it, so I'm imagining he probably eats fallen fruits from the trees, but he doesn't seem to have a problem with you maybe cutting down one tree to build a home or picking fruits from an orchard. It seems that what really grinds his gears is when you take much more than you need, you know?
That makes sense.
Like Fern Gully.
Yeah.
Like Avatar.
I was definitely getting Fern Gully vibes.
Yeah.
From what you were describing.
Right. So he's not just a scary chap. He definitely helps those who are in need as well. He has been known to aid lost travelers, kind of like Baba Yaga. And something that I found to be pretty cute about him is that he is often seen riding a peccary or a small deer. I visited Peru a few years ago, and we saw a lot of peccaries there, and gosh, they're scary sorts, but anyway, I think it's really cool that he rides one, that he's kind of tamed one.
Yeah, those are, scary to be around.
Yeah. But the Curupira is a wild child. So, the fact that he rides a peccary often confuses him with another friend of legend from Brazil, the caipora, which sometimes is seen with red hair, but their male to female ratio is a little more balanced usually. The caipora is also a protector of forest animals, but they also smoke a cigar.
That's fun.
And it's often said that they have darker skin, and they like to mess with hunters as well. So, two very similar friends of legend.
Sound like cousins.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. Other special powers of the Curupira is that they have super speed and super strength, and they can transmutate.
Transmute into what?
I couldn't find specific information, but I'm imagining that kind of goes along with when they're trying to mess with the hunters and loggers, and they're probably trying to really freak them out by turning from little boy to jungle kitty to
like a jaguar.
Yeah, to maybe a screeching bird, just anything to freak out these bad guys.
Using them wild shapes.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that it can also run super fast, because you wouldn't think something with backwardo feet would be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a fact of life for this species, so I'm sure they've become very good at it. Yeah, it is kind of weird, though. Anyway.
Because I'm trying to imagine someone running with backward feet, and all I can think is Quap.
Quap, or I was showing you videos of Captain Crunch's Crunchling Adventure when there's a mini game that you play in Backwardia where you have to run backwards against a turtle that's riding a skateboard backwards. This has nothing to do with the show. I got lost in the nostalgia.
You got lost in the sauce.
Oh, man. So, the Curupira, I think that you can agree with me that he's a cheeky little bugger, but he is also highly revered by the tribes of the forests in Brazil. He's a protector of all, not just the wild animals and plant life, but the human beings that live off the forest. And for that reason, he's respected and praised. But if you go just to reap the riches of the land and aren't giving anything back, then yeah, you're gonna feel his wrath.
Yeah, sounds like the conquistadors probably had to contend with the Curupira a lot.
Yeah, but they didn't like to write about that. I wonder why.
Yeah.
They didn't want to admit that they had been struck down by a half-man.
Duped by this child body. It means child body, right?
Yes. Yeah, child body, or covered in blisters. And covered in blisters, I'm sure, alludes to the fact that little kids are always scromping around and getting into
nettles
and climbing trees and getting all dirty and roughed up. So now I would like to talk a little bit about the modern representation of the Curupira.
Yes, please.
There's a TV show called Beastmaster. It was a Canadian, Australian, American combo wombo show, and they had a Curupira. I watched some of the scenes, and it didn't really look anything like what I described their appearance to be. It was a blonde female, but she had backwards feet, and it looked like paint all over her body to make her blend in with the forest, but it was kind of strange. It wasn't anything like the other legends of the Curupira that I found. There was also a scene where she was sucking the very life out of a sleeping human in a hammock, and he kind of shriveled up.
It sounds like a friend of legend that I've heard about from the Philippines that we'll have to do an episode on.
Ooh, maybe they were doing a little mixy-matchy creature lore.
Creature feature.
Also, I was happy to learn about this because I didn't remember any of it from the books, but the Curupira is featured in Harry Potter as well. You know how you can have different materials that make up the core of the wand?
Dragon heartstring.
Yeah. So Curupira hair is a notably unstable wand core. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, doesn't sound like a terribly stable critter.
Yeah. And he's also the mascot for the Brazilian national Quidditch team.
Fun.
Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
In Final Fantasy XIV, there's a plant-like monster that they call the Curupira, which confused me a bit. I watched some footage of that, and it just looked like a big Venus flytrap, sort of, with vine arms, and I didn't really get why it was called the Curupira, but I noticed that the player was fighting it on the edge of a forest, so I'm guessing that it protected the forest. I don't really know, but I thought that was weird.
Maybe that's something that it can polymorph into.
Oh, yeah, it probably could. Yeah, I never really think about magical creatures turning into plants, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, who's to say they can't? There are also theories that the Curupira is a surviving relative of the Protopithecus. Did I say that right? Do you know?
Protopithecus?
Aha, thank you. My science boy here.
Science boy.
And the Protopithecus is an extinct relative of the spider monkey whose fossils were found in Brazil. So that would be cool if the Curupira was related to the spider monkey. And it would make sense. I mean, I did mention that he has a chimp-like face and sharp little teeth.
Mm-hmm. Definitely sounds like one of those capuchin monkeys.
Yeah. Aw.
Claire was friends with a capuchin monkey.
His name was Cappuccino, and of course he was in Peru when I was there, and
He's a cheeky friend.
He is a cheeky friend. He would jump all over me and get his dirty little handprints all over my clothes, which was very precious. I loved it. Because you don't go to the rainforest and expect to be clean one bit.
Nope.
There's also a fish that's found in the Amazon basin called the Hoplius curupira fish. Don't know why it's named after the Curupira, but I thought it was interesting.
Maybe it's got backwards fins.
Maybe. But it's also known as the black wolf fish. So, very interesting combination of names. And then I also just wanted to mention, because it was a great help to me when I was doing my research for this friend of legend, there's a channel on YouTube, and I don't know if it was on TV as well, but it's called Turma do Folklore, and it's this channel that does all these really sweet little children's animations teaching you about all the different Brazilian friends of legend. Well, they don't call them that, but all the different Brazilian mythical creatures.
You showed me the thumbnail image and it is precious.
Yeah, they've got episodes on all different kinds. So look that up, especially if you're a Portuguese speaker or want to learn and want to learn about these various Brazilian friends as well. Now let's get on to how to become friends with this guy. The Curupira, like any child, enjoys gifts. So I would say present him with a gift that has nothing to do with you having taken resources from the forest.
So you don't think he'd like urbane little gifts like jacks or bouncy balls?
He might. I mean, yeah. As long as he knows that you didn't chop down a tree to make a set of jacks, yeah, I think he'd be happy about that. Or maybe present him with a lovely bananas Foster, or something that that he would enjoy. Now, I think it goes without saying that if you wanted to contribute to reforestation or any other type of protecting the forest that he lives in, that would get you in his book of friends.
It seems like a lot of our friends of legend really warm up towards friends of the environment, like the Nagas and the Imugi, oh, the gnomes as well.
Yeah, the gnomes. Oh my gosh.
No, my gosh.
Just goes to show that if you do right by the earth, then you'll get a heap load of new friends. I don't know if the tribes of Brazil are explicitly on friend terms with the Curupira. It could be that he is just so elusive that they only see him when he's running through the forest. But I mean, I don't see why we can't try to do these things, to make a trip out to Brazil, to get a bunch of seeds of the native plants and just go on a planting spree and maybe ward off human predators as well.
Like poachers and the like.
Yeah. What could we do? What do you think we could do to scare off poachers and hunters?
Put up signs that say warning Curupira and like have a little picture of a Curupira turning a poacher into a toad.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. It's gentle enough of a warning, but I think it should also get the job done.
We'll have to use environmentally gentle materials.
Yeah.
Though I don't want to go nailing up like an aluminum sign.
We could use some clay from the river.
That's
and
good.
And write with our little fingies before it dries.
Yeah, we can make dye out of flowers or something.
Yeah, see, there's always options. So now we're at the point of the show where we talk about our rating for this friend. If you've never listened to us, welcome, we're happy to have you. We've got a 4-tier rating system that describes how easy it is to become friends with our featured buddy. So the first tier is friend-shaped. This is someone who really wants to pal up with you. They're very kind, they're warm, and they want to have a good time with you. Maybe have a little tea party. Like the gnomes.
The next up on the list is Cheeky Friend. These friends aren't necessarily hard to become friends with, but expect a lot of hijinks, like the Kasoobake.
Next up, we have Spicy Friend. This is someone who does a little bit of harm to those who anger it, but there have been reports of people breaking past their personal walls and getting cozy with them. Like Baba Yaga. I just really like her now.
And then last of the tiers is Not a Friend Yet. These are beings that we don't have any record of having become friends with, and usually coming across them is lethal. Think of the Greek Sphinx.
What would you rate the Curupira?
At first I was feeling Spicy Friend, but I think as long as you're not like a forest jerk, you can be a cheeky friend.
I gave him Cheeky Friend as well. Yeah. The only harm that he does is to people who are outright harming the earth and...
Charm the earth. Do not harm the earth.
Yeah, exactly. And that really resonates with me. You know, I have a degree in environmental science, and that's because I was raised to love the planet, and so any friend of legend that protects it is A-okay with me.
I wonder if he'd let you join in on the fun of punking those environmental meanies.
I bet he would. Maybe you could set up like a little rope trap, like a little ivy
snare.
Yeah. And maybe he'll let you have a celebratory fruit afterward.
Sounds good to me. Share some cacao.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for listening to our episode about the Curupira.
Thanks for coming.
If you liked what you heard today and you want to hear more Friends of Legend, consider subscribing to us on whatever app or website you listen to us on. That way you will get notified whenever we make a new episode, which occurs every Saturday.
Also, if you want some more Friends of Legend content, feel free to visit friendsoflegend.com, where you can see information about us, frequently asked questions, and some of Claire's beloved Neep Time videos.
Yeah, I haven't heard from Neep in a little while, so hopefully he's working on new content soon.
He's been on a gnome sabbatical.
Yeah, I can't blame him.
We're also on social media. If you want to come visit us, we're on Facebook and Twitter. Claire's always making posts on Facebook, and every Friday before the next episode comes out, I leave a little hint on which creature we're going to be doing next.
Yeah, and if you ever want to get in touch with us to request a certain Friend of Legend, then you can do that by going on our website, friendsoflegend.com, and clicking on the Contact Us page, or you can just send us a direct email at friendsoflegend@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for listening. And remember, when it comes to Friends of Legend, charm them.
Do not harm them.
It's called Turma do Folklore.
Whoa.
Stop, I'm trying.
I'm sorry.
Ah!